Welcome to Cinema Surprise, presented by the Penny Bloom Podcast, where every week we celebrate film, and one of us never knows what's coming next. Hello everybody, and welcome in to this brand new series titled Cinema Surprise, brought to you by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today we kick it off with a very special episode. Joseph picked out a movie. Today we cover that movie. It is Tron Legacy. It was released on December 17th, 2010, based on characters by Bonnie McBird and Steven Lisberger, a story by Brian Klugman and Lee Sternthal, and a screenplay by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. I am Colton Robertson. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, buddy?
Oh, I mean, it's always a pleasure, usually. But today is a long-awaited day for me. Not just in the podcast, just to get you to see this movie, just in general, and just now that it's in the know, now that I can reference things or things. Not even really, it's not that referenceable of a movie. It's just it's in the know now, and we're here and we're talking about it.
No, I've appreciated immensely your enthusiasm for this movie, and I've appreciated immensely the fact that I could text you while I was watching it last night. You knew exactly what I was talking about. You knew exactly where I was, and you were so excited with every response, and I could feel it. You know, I could feel it permeating through my phone that you were excited about it. So I'm super pleased, and there has never been a movie that made more sense for you to like. I will. It makes 1,000% sense that this is a movie you enjoy. Break it down for me a little bit. Since this was your choice, why is this movie so special to you?
I was actually trying to think about that. Think about like the first time I did watch this, because my brother's never seen it, so and I don't think my sister. So like usually movies were introduced through the siblings, or usually, but this is very singular. I don't know when, but I never owned it on DVD. I feel like it could have been like a Redbox movie. That's what I'm guessing. Yes. The time kind of fits. We Redboxed frequently. And I feel like this would just be like a cover for a movie. I would be like, yes. Because I know that like when I watched it for the first time, I was like, oh, like I knew. It was just like, okay, this is an all-timer for me. And then in between the first and second watch, I discovered Daft Punk as well. So it was Tron and Daft Punk at once, and that album in specific, maybe not all of Daft Punk, but that album, the soundtrack. And it was all I listened to, and I think I watched that Redbox. Like that makes sense now that like I'm saying it out loud, because I would rip this movie just over and over somehow, and I didn't own it on DVD, so that's
you're like, it's got to be something, you know. Yeah, no, that tracks for sure. There was all sorts of stuff that like within the first 5-10 minutes where I was like, yeah, no, Joe would love this, you know, like it was that sort of vibe. I loved the introduction of the introduction to Jeff Bridges Flynn and speaking to his son and, you know, giving him the little story of the Tron. Like, what I'm guessing is the story of the first Tron movie from the 80s.
Yes. They compact it a whole lot, and like, there's like Alan, like the dude on the outside in real life. You know, like Cillian Murphy's in the movie, which is hilarious. You know, that he is used for 5 minutes just to code and bring some legitimacy. I guess it's just to maybe bring some legitimacy, but I mean, 2010 at this
Cillian
point,
Murphy,
yeah. So like,
I mean, he was a well-versed actor. He'd been in a lot of good stuff. You know, he was in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight and, 28 Days Later and Red Eye and, Sunshine. He'd been in a lot of stuff, but he was by no means a star, you know.
but
he wasn't really a star till last year. And Peaky Blinders kind of changed things as well. But like, yeah, it was a funny thing to like, see him pop up and be like, hey, don't worry, man, it's fine. And then like never show up again.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, it would be awesome if they like got him back for the new one somehow, and that hasn't leaked yet somehow. And because I guess Jeff Bridges is confirmed, which is really cool to know that like somehow we'll get his return. But
that's one of those things where like in terms of modern film journalism and reporting, I wish we didn't know that.
You know,
sort of thing, you know. It used to be that we were pleasantly surprised when somebody we knew showed up in a movie. Now it's like, well, actually, I knew this 2 years ago.
Yeah. I would really, and trailer, like even a trailer sometimes is too much for me. I'd rather not even watch the trailer. Yeah. So all this behind the scenes news, I'm not supposed to know it. You know, like it's
no, for real. But regardless, I love Jeff Bridges in this. Jeff Bridges is one of my favorites of all time. You know, beyond this, The Big Lebowski is a all-time favorite for me. I absolutely adore him in that. And then obviously Iron Man was a big one for us coming up as well. I watched a movie with him called The Morning After not too long ago, directed by Sidney Lumet. He's just a talented dude who's been talented for a very long time. And to see him reprise his role as Flynn here, not even knowing what he was like in the first one, just feels right. You know, just like that's him, man. Biodigital jazz, man. Yeah, I love Jeff Bridges.
Man, yeah, the monologues he goes on. You know, he's very zen and he's very calculated now. You know, dude's just been chilling there for
who knows how long,
for Sam's whole life. Like,
what was it, 89 to 2010?
Yeah, he was like an 8-year-old kid.
21 years?
Or no, he's probably like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid. I don't know. Like, how old do you think he was at the beginning? Like, did they say he was 6 years old?
I'm going off math. Assuming the movie takes place in the year it came out. He's 27. His dad disappeared in 89.
Okay, so 89. Yeah.
He would have been 6 at the beginning of the movie. 27 later.
That makes sense.
It's kind of how that's how I clock it.
Yeah, so he's been away for 20 years, about that we can say that. So and just Cora, I guess, is his only guest.
Only company it seems like.
And,
not the whole time. But a lot of it, you know.
They read, he can read. I don't know where they're getting their food from. That's an interesting, where did that?
Yeah, there's a few things.
They feasted.
There's a few things.
They feasted.
Yeah.
A whole pig, like in excess. I mean, maybe it is just like a
biodigital pig. Like, is that something we're dealing with?
Man. I mean,
I'm like, the books were interesting to me. I was like, did he like bring these in here with him because they're like actual books? It's not like they're like
there is
files.
There's barely any theory time that you can do, but the only thing that is an interesting theory that people debate on is like in the beginning, is that Clue or is that is it Kevin? Like, is it actually human him or is it the first time that Clue actually got out in the real world? And the whole movie, it's very yin yang as well, which why I like it. It's very orange, blue, good, evil. Whenever I don't know, everything has its counter. And if Kevin's going back in and out, through the real world and going back in, he's saying he's going to the arcade, or going to the office. This is where he's coming to. So it's implied that he is in and out all the time. It's not that crazy to think that before Clue goes on his whole Hitler arc, he gets out and he sees the world and that's where all of the revolution came from. Is he's like, I have seen the outside world. Follow me and I will bring you with me, sort of thing. That's the whole mission, rectifier. That's the goal for him to get out. And from the words of Kevin, the dude doesn't dig imperfection. He
what's more imperfect than our world, man? Yeah. No. It's and I love that this. I mean, this movie does have to be easy to follow. It is a PG rated special effects Disney film,
Disney.
And so like
It's for kids.
I appreciate that and that's the thing is that I appreciate the intricate subject matter is handled with such simplicity. And it is so bare bones and just like, this is how it works and this is what happens and that's that. And it's like, I can accept that, it's not, it's nothing that I'm like, I poked fun at the, where the books come from. They're like, I don't give a fuck. That's cool. I love that the books are there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dope little, addition to it. And, I think that the core of what, Kevin, is that what you said? I never clocked that as his name.
Kevin Flynn. Is
Kevin Flynn. I appreciate that the whole motive for him here with Quora is just she's his life's work, essentially. She is the answer to all. And it's kind of fascinating knowing she got out and Sam got out with her. Tron Ares seems like it could take place in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is really, really cool.
I think I kind of hope it's in the real world now because, like, we did what you could do in the sci-fi world, and the point of it is just to have cool visuals and things that you can't do in the real world. And I feel like they're trying to tell a more important story for like the just real life and how we're going to have to deal with AI and everything. Like, I think that's going to be involved in the movie. But like here, this is just the movie, the original movie. This is what they wanted to do. This is what they thought in their heads it would look like, but they didn't have the technology at the time to do it. And here you go. We're going to give you Disc Wars. We're going to give you, the grid. We're
Light cycle battles.
Whenever they want motorcycles, you can have them. It's in a little stick. Whenever you want your own personal jet, little mosquito, whatever the fuck, flight suit, you can have it. It's just a little stick.
Fuck yeah.
Your whole life is on your disc, but this disc is also a bladed frisbee, that you can throw. And I love the whole aesthetic of it all. It's just like it's simplistic. It's like minimal, but like just so futuristic and so, I don't know. It's just, you can tell we're in a different world. Like, this is the digital world.
Oh, yeah.
And like the whenever the helicopter like stops him, but I guess it's not the helicopter. The whatever the hell you call the
hovercraft of some sort that they've got going on.
But and then like the hexagons of like the floor, and then they drop below him, and like it's like I always love to think of like, is it real? Like, if he stepped off there, would he fall, or is it just all in his head and it's made
a perception
to seem
thing?
that way and stuff like that. But like that lander thing, that whatever in the original movie, like that's what they look like. Like, they had to use simple geometry because like that's just all it was at the time. Like it looks like polygon. Like, you can clearly see the simple geometry that they had to do, but in this movie they took that shape, and like the fact that it like when it landed down and like it came down kind of like a Worlds of Fun ride, like at the I don't know, like it landed, like that was brand new, and like shots like that, I don't know. That's why I love the movie, is that it's just sci-fi at its peak. This is just like, look at this cool shit that's not real at all, but let's make real one day, like that. I don't know, is kind of in my head is like, that's what sci-fi is for. It's what we think we're going to get to at some point, whether it's 5,000 years in the future. But
as they claim in Thor, science fiction is just a precursor to science fact.
Yes,
I believe that's a Jane Foster quote.
That one deserves to go down in the notes, in the quotes notes. I don't know what to call it. I need a name for that.
The quote notes. I like that.
Maybe that's it.
No, but maybe that's it. No, but I really do like, again, like the biodigital thing. Like having heard you talk literally yesterday, before we watched the movie, about a future where we evolve where technology gets closer and closer to us and eventually it becomes part of us and so on and so forth. And I've always that tracks, just the way we have we have phones attached to our hips and we are dependent on technology. It's only a matter of, decades before it's literally a part of us. And then watching this and playing with the biodigital jazz. This is how we, this is how we can cure everything.
Grabs,
There's nothing that can ever be.
Yeah, that. That's the
religion, science, art, none of it will ever be the same. And I was just this is just, Joe's internalized this movie like fucking crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't think the computer getting closer with us is necessarily a good thing. I just think it is just
but it's an inevitability.
And that's, I prefer, I'd probably prefer to keep my own brain natural is I like my brain. So it does scare me. It is kind of like a fear thing, but I think I hide it by being ooh, sci-fi, and here's the coolness of what we can do with it.
I mean, it's a dope idea, it's just practice versus theory. It's often different things. What was really interesting to me and what I was kind of shocked by was that I know we don't spend a lot of time in the real world, but I really enjoy the aesthetic they established for the real world. I appreciate that we don't actually see the real world at real daytime until the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
He just kind of shows up at the arcade. I think they might show him walking up and they show the Flins flashing and stuff, but I appreciated the brown, dull kind of color grading they used because it's not gray, it's not mud, it's not bleh. It's designed to look that way. They established a visual feel for the real world, and I really appreciated it because my shot is surprisingly as fucking awesome as the digital world is in the real world. My favorite shot is when he's sitting at his dad's touch keyboard and he's he's looking through all of it and he's trying to file commands and they keep flashing back to the laser behind him. And when they cut back to the laser behind him, from the perspective of the laser, basically, with it right beneath the camera, the light's pouring in above him and he's it's just a really, it felt like one of those shots that you'd see as a teaser image. Tron's coming. This is we're bringing back Tron and they showed this sort of shot for it, and I appreciate it was it's a really nice still. It's a really nice frame, and there are several beautiful shots that I'm more than willing to bring up later on. But
I always forget about
it stood out to me early on.
The real world.
It stood out to me early on, and I was like, oh yeah, and it's a crucial setup part. I love the infiltration of NCOM. Is that what it's called? I loved that whole sequence. I thought that was a super fun little time and, freedom of information and, you're not supposed to, privatize the sort of thing my dad was working towards. Again, it was just all those sorts of things that I was like, A, of course Joe loves this, and B, it makes perfect sense. This is
it's right there. All of it's there. This is the blueprint pretty much, for if you want to understand me in one movie. This is probably the one to watch. It's either that or Interstellar. I don't know which one.
Right.
I feel like Interstellar tracks more, but this is as literal as it can get.
There's a little bit of both there for sure.
And in the real world, I think we're in New York. I think that's the Brooklyn Bridge. His I don't know what bridge that is actually. His apartment or his little shipping container that looks out onto the bridges. There's two bridges, I think. I don't know if is it supposed to be in New York? I don't know, or if it's just
I don't know. I didn't track
something.
That.
But yeah, I kind of forgot about that. That was one shot that just I noticed for the first time here on this watch finally, which is probably my 20-something or 30-something. I don't know.
Right.
But that was one shot I noticed in the real world, and there's one shot in the arcade. He goes up in the office. Or there's an office that overlooks the arcade, and there's kind of the camera's in the corner, and it shows the whole room, and that's a shot from the original movie, and that's where Jeff Bridges and everyone hung out. That's where Alan and Jeff Bridges hung out in real life, and it was there's a they're like I've seen the side by side, and that's I don't know, it's pretty cool. I don't remember much of the original movie, but Tron, that's just Alan. Like that's Alan in the original one. I think that's just like the digital version of Alan, and I love how I love how Alan in the real world is like he tells Sam nothing, and he's like, here's the keys to the arcade, man, like go check it out before me. But like clearly he went there with Kevin all the time to go into the world. He's been in that world. The dude knows. Like the dude is and I guess maybe now that like Flynn was stuck on the inside, he never knew the intricacies of how to work it, maybe, so he was stuck on the outside.
He never knew how to get in beyond what Flynn knew.
And maybe it took Sam getting to this point to activate, this was the actual first time that anyone has come back. Because if Alan could have come back, I'm assuming he would have, and if that happens, the portal opens and Flynn would have known the whole, so like this thing, it's just Alan just never, I guess, could have gotten to that point. But I love like the open-endedness of Tron. He could pop up in the next one, which is nice. It is just kind of Alan, but not. I really need to watch the original because I think there's like a really interesting twist that they have with Tron. There's something that I remember that's like not quite normal, and it made it really cool. But
gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, like that's one that I'm interested in checking out simply because I know that me and you have different levels of being able to suspend belief with old school effects. So it's something that I think I might be able to appreciate a bit more than you do, just because I know you have a yes, I've seen pictures of it. Because like it's interesting.
It just makes me like it's so sad. I don't want to laugh, but it just like it's like the fact that it is the movie the whole time. Like I don't know. It's a testament to the time. It's a time capsule, like that movie is, and there are some impressive parts. Like there are some parts in the real world that actually are pretty nice. But like I guess 1982 I guess is when it came out. So like I do have to keep in mind this was quite a long time ago. Computers are not what they are. This is why this movie, is how it is. It is why they
and it was incredibly ambitious. To even attempt a film like that at that time is bold as hell. So like there's a certain degree of being like, oh okay, because like even Superman 4 years earlier looks better, but it's because they didn't take nearly as big a visual effect swing, like they're
not in
the moments that they do, it's like
they're still on
Earth. Not in a different reality. And even when they are, I mean, Krypton looks pretty good, but it's not a digital world, like they're not going for that, it's a whole different thing. So like it's incredibly ambitious, so that's something that I can really appreciate. I mean, both these movies there's certainly nothing else like Tron Legacy, as far as I can tell, as far as I've seen.
Yeah, sci-fi wise, I mean, the story I think is there in other sci-fi movies. It's just kind of the good old classic revolution, and just this is programs, and like
intensely
user. Like I love and it got me to think of like we do call ourselves like a username. Like user is the word we use, and it like we like. Using because we are using the computer. It is a weird thought, and I've always sometimes when I ask Google to turn on my lights, I say please and thank you, and remember that I like you. I every now and then I put in a little good word because I don't know, maybe the day they wake up, maybe my computer it's been listening to me. This is
maybe it forgives you.
I don't know. Is it more mad at me that
forgives you of your trespasses?
What would it want to do? I don't know. I wish it could speak to me.
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I wish it could tell me.
And like that's why the grid. I try to picture clusters of information when they move to. I know the whole that's track 2 of the soundtrack. So like, and it's Jeff Bridges too. So like, I'm obviously gonna gonna commit it to memory. But like he you know, he just thought of the circuits like freeways and motorcycles and stuff. So maybe that's just why Tron World looks like this, because he liked bikes. He liked
right. That's how he thought of it
and stuff like that. So it could be anything in the digital world, you know, and that's the whenever it's reset.
There is that part at the end, you know, when he talks to Clue and he's like, "I'm sorry, you couldn't possibly know perfect because I didn't when I programmed you. So
dude,
like it's not your fault and I'm sorry." You know, like that whole thing. That's an incredible bit.
Yeah, the wizened old man at the end, you know, and like because.
God, I fucking love that everyone's got such like a techno suit going on, and he's got like Jedi robes that glow within. That's so
Dude's
pimp.
That's
so
God.
cool.
He literally created this world. There could and I love whenever we get into the club, Zeus's or Castor's club, and music in there just fucks as well. Just want to throw that out. I think Daft Punk was like, all right, if we're gonna be on screen, we're gonna spaz. We're gonna turn it up. But just the moment of whenever Flynn arrives there, the dude he's there. He puts his hand on the floor, and just everyone in the room, all the bad guys just die. It's just he is just there, and then he stands up and he's like, "Hey man, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here." He's just like, I don't know. I love how nonchalant and stuff he is, and how very chess like the visuals are. Like whenever Clue storms into Flynn's house and he gets there, he like walks forward himself, and like his like, oh, who's the guy? I know him from Gotham actually. His kind of like assistant guy.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Because his picture's not going to look anything like him, probably at all. Yeah, I really want to say his
Jarvis?
name. Is it? Yeah, maybe that's him. James Frayne. Does that kind of looks like him? Yes, James Frayne. Yes, that's him.
Yeah, he's in Gotham.
Yes. But he kind of represents like the bishop, I guess, kind of chess, and then like Tron, the queen, you know, the power piece. And they were perfectly like aligned, and like the Flynn's floor is literally checkered as well, or like it's gridded out, and they were all perfectly in their own squares and stuff like that. And even Flynn talks about it himself. He's like, he wanted a new piece on the board, and with you, he got more than he ever dreamed. You know, like he even thinks about it in terms of a game, and then finally at the end, he's like, no.
Games.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, at least they build up that suspense of the games are going to suck.
Oh, it's very cool.
Know, games don't sound like the fun
and the
thing.
guy being like, nope, I'd rather die. He like jumps and kills himself before he can get taken to games.
Start a kids movie, you know? We're in this world, and you see just non-stereo, you know, criminal looking a dude has half a face, you know, gotta imagine that dude's been through some stuff, and then one dude just jumps off, and the blades, you know, that's just gotta suck. I don't know, like that, it's gotta, I don't know, does it hurt? Do they hurt? Do they just break apart into you know, they just shatter into like glass? Yeah, I don't know.
Such is the question.
It sounded like it hurt.
Yeah, like yeah, I mean they'd scream. But I really enjoyed a lot of the imagery. I thought that the visual language of the film was very, very, super consistent, very compelling. I liked the like white interiors. I liked that was kind of like the, it's classic sci-fi shit. Reminds me of THX 1138, George Lucas and them, and then I also appreciated that when we get to like the, bad guy headquarters. It's black and it is dark and it's lit only by the orange glowy lights. Like that's cool shit. I appreciate that sort of stuff, and I also appreciated that the tech is influenced.
It knows
by your personality, which is interesting.
It knows, like it's aware, and it kind of. It's never explained, and I think that's just really cool.
But
like,
I like
Tron
that.
in the water, like when he's floating and it goes from orange and then out, but then it comes back.
When Quora steals a ship, the lights on it turn from orange to that white blue.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because it's like, I mean, like, I love that detail. I don't know what it means strictly.
Headcanon, it's like not the Force, but it's just kind of like a literal visual cue of what side you're on. It can read your brain. Your disc is there. It knows your thoughts. It knows your thought process. Like if you...
Well, and by that logic, is it not an extension of them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't it essentially them?
Yeah, because
which is kind of interesting.
They aren't even really
individuals. Are they individuals? Like, I know Clue is.
Like,
and I know Quora is.
Yeah, like what? What happened to Sam? Like, where is Sam? Like, all of humans? Is it just a teleport into the world? Is there some? I don't know. It's just a laser gun, Laser gun gets you in.
Yeah, like
the portal gets you out. That's about it.
That's true. I wonder if because Flynn built the world, that no matter, like, are you asking, like, if he was in a different part of the world and got lasered in, would he still show up in Flynn's arcade?
Well,
I'm assuming that's the case.
It is just like, there's a difference
like
between Sam and everyone else, right? Because all the other people were created inside of the computer already, but Sam already existing, I don't know, that's just like is there a difference? I think that's is life just life? Even we don't think about that life is life, but like, if it were to that level, and this is really what's going on inside my computer right now, and I'm forcing many people to walk in a line to carry signals, to every little component, like, and I'm just demanding a civilization at work. I it's probably not like that. I don't know, but
well, no, I mean, like, now we're getting into bigger.
Tron Ares, probably.
Religious
questions.
I
feel like that's,
because
that's the new movie.
My question was primarily, like, if this world was created and all the people in it were created, are any of them individuals per se? And now, you go real world and it's like, okay, well, if all of us were created and the world was created, well, yeah, duh, we are all individuals. So, like, why would that be any different?
Maybe it's both. Where yes, you have your individual mind, but there is one thing that connects us all, and it's like just consciousness in general. It's the one thing we have no fucking clue, really, where it comes from, why it comes from. If animals have the same amount, we know that we're smarter than some animals, but like.
But they've got to be, like, some of them or all of them have to be every bit as aware of what's going on around them,
It's life, and we're getting to the point where a robot has enough of the qualities to almost be called conscious. Like, that never used to be a thing,
Like, one of the most interesting characters that kind of benefits the idea of the individualism here is Castor. I really think that Castor is one of the more interesting characters in this movie. Zeus.
Both.
I also love that actor. I know him from Twilight.
Yes. Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
one of the main evil fucks.
He is. Okay. He's just a crime lord, I guess. Here he's just a boss. In Tron world, one of the only ISOs left. He's an ISO too. I think.
I
maybe
didn't clock
not.
that.
Maybe that's actually just a fan theory that I'm clocking there.
No, because I mean, there is the fact
that he says.
Quora says she fought.
I think, yeah.
Quora says she fought alongside him in the wars.
Maybe that's what I'm clocking. I'm confusing that he must have been an ISO, but I guess he could have just helped, and
he could have just been an ally, but like regardless, either way, it's interesting. I think that, and now the fact that he's, I mean, the perfect example of the fact that they all have individualism, as he's decided to change sides, he's decided to do what he wants, and
Tron eventually, the ultimate mind control does make his own choice at the end. I fight for the user. I love Tron's voice, and like even in Disc Wars, the first drop of blood, just the user. it's in his hum, like his little like growl too, like that just is coming from his helmet.
So
ooh.
There is one thing that I need clarification on. I don't know if I missed it or if I didn't. Is Rinsler Tron?
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rinsler. Like I guess there was a.
They reveal that Rinsler is Tron
whenever
at some point. Yeah.
Flynn got away, he had to run. Whenever Clue was like, "Am I still supposed to make the perfect system?" Yeah, I love that line.
The
line is like, "Am I still to make the perfect system?" Yeah, like it's just it gets me.
He's like, "Now where the fuck is this coming?" Yeah,
and then he's on it. But then it's showed that Clue. Oh, yeah, no,
they don't show. They
Alan,
show Flynn run away.
Alan, which becomes Rinsler. Whoever becomes Rinsler was sacrificed, or it was appeared that they died, but then someone had to, it. Are they dead? We don't, who knows what happened, if he resurrected her, because he has the little balls, to like control him.
Yeah, he like controls
which
everything.
I think's hilarious. Is like it's all digital and he can control. Like it's all like in the system. Like they can. Like do it, but
he doesn't need a tangible.
It's funny that it's like channeling,
impractical.
It's
like
it doesn't.
All he can do is rotate them around one another. I mean, like he could juggle if he wanted to, but like, what good's that gonna do?
Like my first thought was like, is this the controller? Literally through these motions, he's doing all these things. But I think it's more of just like a visual cue to let you know he's controlling Tron. Like it is still just whatever he thinks it is going to happen, because in the same,
like during the Disc Wars,
that is Clue controlling Rinsler the whole time. Like that's
interesting. I didn't realize that was him controlling Rinsler. I took it as him controlling the environment they were fighting.
Kind of everything. Like it's the system. Like he's putting on a show for Sam right here. He knows Sam's going to come in. He's the one who sent the pager. Like and whenever that guy from Gotham, I never know his character. Jarvis. Oh, wow, how do I not remember that? Vision, Jarvis. Now that'll be supplanted. But whenever you're Luminary, you're Liberator, like, and then at the end he says like, "Were you pleased with my execution, sir?" It's like he didn't choose it. Like Clue is orchestrating everything that's going on here, and he's, it wasn't for the crowd, it was for Sam. So I take it at least that whenever he has the balls in hand, that is like he is taking over Rinsler, and Rinsler doesn't have like a choice. Like it's kind of like he can't even overcome things, and he's showing off. He wants to show off, sort of thing. But
I see. Okay.
At least I don't know what else the balls. It could be the environment, I guess. Maybe it's just more of the environment. Yeah.
He flips the direction and the
gravity
place flips.
That's when the gravity goes?
Yeah, the gravity switches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could
so
be
like that's how I took it.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing, is that like again it goes back to that question that if it is the system and they're all the system and it's all connected, how do you distinguish that? Like, because he is the system, is he more prepared for the gravity switch? Does he know it's coming because he can feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Sam wouldn't because he's a user. Like all of that, like all of what you said still stands. I just kind of took it as
seems
a more limited
Disc
thing.
Wars is a recurring thing, and the end is Rinsler every time, so that they just kill every single person that comes through. I think this is their way of getting rid of the programs they do not want. The dude doesn't dig imperfection. And then he genocided the ISOs completely. Like that's there's some pretty heavy stuff, like in bombardments of their buildings and places of worship. Looking, in a Disney movie, like they kind of, I don't know, it does get into some things, but I do like how just simple it is. It's like, and maybe it makes it more digestible. I don't know, the fact that we aren't really talking about real humans here, but the ideas are exactly the same, and like clearly you can draw what this is, what it's coming from, and just applying it to programs in the future and everything is just I don't know, a way, I guess, to make it, oh, this movie's cool. I'm just going to watch this for the sci-fi thing. And then you get the good values and you get the good moral lessons through everything. And I think that's just partly why I love sci-fi so much, is that if you want to escape, you can. You can just turn off your brain, watch Discourse, watch these motorcycle, grid. I wish, like, Light Cycle. There's no, like, Discourse. There's a name for that. There's, and it's nice, but
yeah, I mean, like, they call it a light cycle battle, like, which isn't choppy. I mean, like, it's long. It's not, and it's not snippy,
Grid is live. Initiate light cycle battle. I love all that. Just everything, every little detail they have. Even Sam getting suited up for the first time for games, when they cut off all of his clothes and all of them are walking in unison. They put all the little different panels on him, it grows, and then, like, when the disc is first, like, put on him in his eye, like, kind of like boom, 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 what happened there? Was that, like,
is he,
that's
like, integrated with the system at that point? Like it it's it has a zipper, like I love that whole interaction. Yeah, that was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, at least before going in the games, you get at least 4 pretty attractive women cutting off your clothes and clothing you up. I don't know maybe. I don't know if that's for everybody, because he needed a suit.
That's true, yeah.
He had street clothes on. So, like, maybe that's just for Sam. I don't know. But, yeah, a way to, I don't know. I don't know what to choose between Discourse or the Light Cycle. I think I like the Light Cycle battle better, just like for, I don't know. I always go back and forth because Rensler is just he is there just to be badass. And, like, this is slow motion when I can get behind it. This is like whenever he does that corkscrew flip to dodge dodge him, and then he lands, and then it's going to come behind his head, and he just does that. Just the minuscule, the what's only required, and it's just goddamn. And he lets out his little hum.
One of my funny things that I was like, oh, you able to do that? Was when he did do the jump flippy thing. He, like, jumps towards it and barely dodges it. But if he would have stayed kneeled the way he was, it would have missed him completely. Which is like. But that's awesome, like, you're doing something that's fucking cool just to be cool.
Showing off. The dude is like, you're in my house, you're in my territory. This is what I do. I got 2 of them. My blade comes apart. I got cheat codes. Yeah, I think that's what you said. This dude's got cheat codes. And yeah, it's.
When I text you that this dude's got cheat codes, I was actually talking about Quora before I knew she was Quora. Because she had the giant fucking truck
and
car stormed in there, and the bombs and stuff, and I was like, yo, she is cheating, but that's awesome, like I loved all of that. I thought that it was a fun fucking movie, Jeff Bridges is absolutely the highlight for both for me, both performance and character as Flynn. Yeah, that was one thing that I was like, I appreciated the characterization of Sam. I thought that the character was really strong. Garrett Hedlund didn't quite do it for me. He's not a great actor. But it was like, he did what he needed to do. He did more than enough. And I think that one of the interesting things is how strong the story and the idea of the story carries the actors and the characters in a way where, like, the strongest characterization is Kevin. And, Quora also has an interesting characterization. I wouldn't say it's strong or, like...
It's simple.
It's simple, and it's the same the whole time.
Like, like literally simple.
And I feel the same way about Sam's characterization. Like, I feel like there's an interesting sort of balance there between those two. That's kind of, but Kevin definitely has the most interesting sort of trajectory over the course of the movie for me in terms of just character work. And yeah, no, I mean, all in all, I came out the other side very happy, very pleased that I've seen it. That's always a good one.
Yeah, that's like, I don't think it, and even the first couple times I watched it, it's not like usually a top 5 movie or a top, because this is a top 5 movie, I'd say. It's now that I have a lot more under my belt, it's like 5 and it's pushing away, which I'm very scared of the day that it exits. But it doesn't really move me as much as the other movies that are there. Like, I cry differently with these other, like the other top 5 movies. This one is purely my comfort, if I need the escape, it's there. If I want that revolutionary spirit, it's there. If I want to just listen to a movie and not even watch it, this
great
is
sound,
I love the soundtrack. I mean, this is
and sound design, beyond the music, like the literal sounds of the mechanics of everything was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just hire just good, talented musicians to do
this
sound
shit.
like this, and maybe this is just a perfect combination of everything. It's a sci-fi world, and they need their music to sound otherworldly. Who better than the people to kind of make that in a genre? In the first place.
Daft Punk couldn't be more well fit for this world. I appreciated that greatly.
Very excited to see what Hans Zimmer does with 3, because I was scared that one track that was out. He's doing the soundtrack, right? The whole thing.
I don't think so.
Or was it just that one song?
That one song isn't actually even associated with Tron at all. It was a crypto thing.
Why is he associated there? Yeah, why is Hans Zimmer associated with Tron 3 at all? I don't it would be nice.
I didn't know he was associated with Tron 3. That was the first time I'd been privy to that.
It's I don't understand why his name is on there. And it because when that song dropped, I'm like, excuse me? This is who's taking the mantle? And then I listened to that song and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is not even close to what they're actually going for.
Yeah, if it helps, there has not been an official selection for who will compose Tron 3.
It's still up in the air. Okay.
And frankly,
maybe they do get Daft Punk,
Hans Zimmer would be interesting, but I don't think he's well suited for this.
That'd be different.
Because I'm not as hot on Hans Zimmer as a lot of people are. I think that he's got when he hits, he fucking knocks it out of the fucking park. But he's got a lot of unremarkable scores, I think. And it would be interesting to see how he would play within the Tron world. But I think his Nolan successor would be a intensely better choice for a Tron movie. Ludwig Göransson,
Yeah, that'd be
that dude. That's somebody I have no doubt could pull off a Tron
cool.
score.
I would like to see what he would do too. Yeah, he'd. Okay.
I think
I'm glad that it's up in the air now. I kind of thought that it was Hans, and I was kind of just okay. That's who it is.
Yeah, no, I don't think he lends himself to this particularly well. A Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who just did Challengers. They did The Social Network and Gone Girl and the Watchmen TV show from a couple years back. They can score some. The TMNT movie, Mutant Mayhem. They can. I think that they could do a Tron movie some good justice as well.
Is there a current other group that mimics Daft Punk that is the current more modern take on it? I'm just not into the. I don't know.
I'm not big in the techno world.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be.
We have all night to get lucky. Yeah,
I don't know if I would want Daft Punk to come back or not. It would be nice if they get them back for this next one and they make the soundtrack again. I don't think I'm going to be disappointed, but I would like to see a different take and just someone else.
No, especially since we were going off that, it made perfect sense for the digital world and the sort of, this is. They're perfect for that. I think that with the melding of the real world and the digital, I think it would make sense to evolve it quite a bit.
I guess they're in the literal movie, and it makes sense for them to look exactly how they look.
Yeah.
And I guess
they just added some lights. That was basically it.
Yeah, their helmets.
Those are their helmets.
Are the same, and I guess just their clothes, which they always change their clothes up for every like concert and stuff. That could be one of their
exactly. So it's like they made perfect sense for this movie, you know, and that's one of those things that's why I do think that a composer will lend itself better for the third movie, I should say. Or I don't even know if it is the third movie. Is Tron Legacy technically the third movie? I feel like there's a Tron 2.
I guess this is 2. This is 2 because I think it's 3. We are getting 3. I'm seeing 3 visuals everywhere.
I see.
Tron, Ares, because I think it's in Ares is a 3.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That we just have that one picture to go off of right now. Just the red. It looks like Tron, but it could just be the bad guy. I don't know. But it's a triangle disc.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. That one's got Greta Lee in it, so I'm set. I'm very excited for that.
And Jared Leto. He's Ares. He is confirmed to be.
He is Ares. So yeah, that's good.
Is that the bad guy? That sounds like the bad guy's name, no? Or is that I don't know.
I mean, Ares is the god of war, so doesn't come with a positive connotation to me, but there's also the plot synopsis as it is on IMDb is that it showcases Ares, Leto's computer program, on a journey from the digital world to the human one. So I think it might be a successful journey of probably a warmonger from the digital world into the human one, and probably fighting that battle on the real plane, which could be very interesting. I mean, Cameron Monaghan, that's Cal Kestis to us. We know he's in it. Gillian Anderson, who I absolutely adore. She was Scully in the X-Files, and most recently for me was in Sex Education. Evan Peters. We know Evan Peters. Jodie Turner-Smith, who's going to be in The Acolyte here before long. She was in After Yang, I believe. So, it's...
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm glad. I've always wanted another movie. I've never needed it. But I've always really wanted it because the end here is, I mean, it says I don't know, it's everything's reset.
Oh yeah, no, you got
are in the real
yeah,
world.
like we've got a good launching off point
Clean
here,
slate.
yeah, and I mean, it's fascinating that they would choose to go a completely new direction director wise because, I mean, Joseph Kosinski is coming off of Top Gun Maverick, which was a smash fucking hit, and maybe he didn't want to do it, but I don't know, if you can pay him money to come back after Top Gun Maverick and do Tron Ares, maybe, I don't know, it's interesting that, I wonder how far removed we are from all of this. Like, is Jeff Bridges returning to play Clue? Like, he'll be a digital reconstruction of himself, right? He won't be able to be him. It would have maybe a voice role. Maybe that's all he is. It's interesting.
In the visuals of whenever it all happens, he takes everything in, and then he is the explosion, kind of, and then the explosion comes back in to form just the one little white light. So I could see them being he's never been gone, he's just there. And maybe the last moment he was there was his old form. It was his wizened form, and that's the form he prefers. I don't know, because, feels... it isn't... It will be interesting to see how they spin it, or,
because that's interesting shit, I think, one of the only things that does not... they're ambitious. It's the Tron franchise. They're doing stuff that hasn't really been done before. The de-aging on Jeff Bridges is fucking awful. It
doesn't work.
2010,
we weren't quite.
No, yeah, I'm yet. It's in the same vein as the first Tron. You had a great idea. Because was there anything that really attempted de-aging prior to Tron Legacy? Digital de-aging?
Dang, I guess
was Disney the pioneer for that?
That kind of makes sense now that it is Disney. Yeah, I mean 2010 is pretty early for that because in Marvel, who's like Ant-Man,
that's 2015 when they do Hank Pym.
Did they do anyone else? Samuel L. and no, that's Captain Marvel.
Captain
That's
Marvel.
much later.
They do a DH Robert Downey Jr. in 2016 for Civil War. I'm like, I don't know if there was really a big swing at de-aging.
X-Men: The Last Stand.
Oh,
Patrick
yeah.
Stewart.
Dude, they looked really fucking good in that. I don't know if you remember.
What year was that?
2006.
They did look really good.
Yeah, they looked
in
really
that.
fucking good in that. I forgot about that. But it was also short-lived. It wasn't like something they had to do for the whole fucking movie.
For the whole
Yeah,
movie.
so it is a different thing, but...
And also, I wonder if, like, they stuck with the digital look of him a little bit harder because it is a digital, like, Clue is digital.
It is a nice way to go, well, this is why, yeah.
It's just that he looks that way in the real world, though. So, like, that's clearly them, if it is Clue and he's in the real world and that theory's true, then it tracks, but probably not, and that's just actually Flynn.
Yeah.
And so that's them going for looking
For
as
a
real
DH.
as possible.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is that they did I appreciated the carefulness with which they approached the de-aging, especially at the beginning in the real world. They, like, barely show his face, and when they eventually wrap around to where you're even seeing half his face, they cut so that it's just his son's face, and he's talking to, like, they're trying their best not to show him, which is, like, it is what it is. I think you could have gotten away with it just being Jeff Bridges' voice and maybe, like never showing his face, and I wouldn't have really minded that. But when it came to Clue, like that was the choice. You did have to do that. Like that was the move.
Dad, you didn't age a bit. Like it has to, like he can't age. And that is different. It is. I saw. X-Men it seemed to be like
the Last Stand was really fucking good too. I mean, it was only like a 5-minute scene.
Yeah. Apparently, The Departed, Jack Nicholson was de-aged briefly in a flashback. And then The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Oh, well, yeah.
In 2008. And then X-Men Origins Wolverine, Patrick Stewart again, de-aged cameo. Then Surrogates. With Bruce Willis, and then Tron Legacy. Okay. So, actually, a little bit before. So
I would say this is the most ambitious up to that point, considering he was a fucking character in the movie.
Biggest character.
Yeah, like it's not a couple minutes or a brief stint where they're in the movie like that. Like they're going for it, which I can respect.
And like that, he can just put a helmet on though. Sometimes, it is nice that he can. Helmet, you don't have to worry about it. We know who you are. You're the little bit lighter orange than everyone else. Which, I don't know, he's like yellow orange for whatever reason. He has to be singular. But, yeah, I don't know for how long. A lot of these visuals were my wallpaper for my computer for quite some time. Especially whenever I got like a thing where I can have moving wallpapers on my computer. That was a big change. Wallpaper engine. And they have a lot of Tron ones. And the bike, they have built those things. Those are real. You can get a bike that looks like that, which is really cool. You can't turn the trail on. That we haven't figured that out quite yet.
Yeah, whenever the first time someone slams into the trail, I was like, oh, it's there. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's the video game is just that's what Tron, the video game is. It's just the bikes, and it's like Snake, but with 2 players is or more.
This,
I guess. And,
this I can do.
But
yeah, no, there was a lot of good little moments like that.
Ooh, I love that's slow, like another slow-mo whenever Clue gets on the bike and it just shows it slowly form for the first time and then you get the mirror of Sam doing it too. That was I'm not like anti slow motion. I think that slow motion has its place and I think it was used effectively here. Like if it's excessive and indulgent and it's Zack Snyder and it's it's stuff like that, like no, I'm not a huge fan of slow motion there. Because you're taking a movie that could have been 2 hours, 10 minutes and you made it 2.5 hours because there was 20 minutes of slow motion. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
That's insane. That's too much. Stop it. And I am adding, like, there's literally nobody else who does that besides Zack Snyder. So, like, that's who I mean.
He does love his slow-mo. Yeah, he loves it.
Did you know Rebel Moon 2 came out a couple weeks ago?
That's awesome. That is, I'm glad that I didn't. No idea.
Yep. Yeah.
The second movie?
Yeah, the part 2. You remember how the first one was part 1? And it was.
Oh, I don't really remember even the first one. Really, that is how. I watched that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Yep. Yeah. No, but yeah, I don't want to spend too much talking about Rebel Moon or anything. But
wow,
no, a really good example of a sci-fi movie that doesn't do nearly as good a job as this one at world building or telling a story that is meaningful to the characters within it or anything. Having anything to say. So ultimately, I enjoyed this movie a great deal, and I had a fun time, and I'm super glad it's what kicked off the project here. Is there anything else you want to say on it, or I know it's your movie, man. So if there's anything else you got, you go for it.
Nope, just a Craster line, and it was I don't know, the boys. I was caught up. It felt like he had a boys or something, and it is when he tells them to change the music. He says, "I'm stepping away for a moment, boys." Is that's where it comes from, and then he says, "Change the scheme, alter the mood, electrify the boys and girls if you be so kind." You know, I love that a character like that can just exist in Tron.
Change the scheme, and there's like almost a 40s. Noir thing to him, and like a transatlantic thing he's got going on. Change the scheme, boys.
It's old
Alter the mood.
Like a new, like totally gay, but like a little.
Oh, there's
bit
a flamboyant.
There. It's like the 40s. Yeah. It's like this weird mix of everything, and but yeah, he's got a cool little club up there. That's
I like
for
that
sure.
his cane's a gun. It's always fun.
And the staircase. He like designed it myself. You know, it's slowly coming out or whatever, and he's like, I designed it myself, and it's like, that's
super fun
sick.
character. Yeah, so like all these things it lent itself to a very, very enjoyable experience and a fun watch. But with that, prior to the plugs, prior to the rating, we are going to do the plugs. Also, after the plugs will come my announcement for what movie we'll be covering next week. And then our album of the week. So, I'm going to do the plugs here, tell you where you can find us. We're going to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to announce what movie's coming next week. And then we're going to do an album of the week. So, here we go. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. You can also get access to early access content. If you're listening to this now, first week of June, happy Pride Month, by the way. Shout out all the queer homies. You could have heard it like a month ago. You could have been ahead of the curve. You could have already known what next week is if you wanted to, You could have probably known what the next 4 weeks are if you wanted to, if we're being for real. So, that's at patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where for $1.50 a month you can support this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening and download the episodes. You can also watch on YouTube. Look us up, Penny Bloom Pod. You can see us now. We're pretty. Check us out there. But I think that's about the size of it. So, I know how you feel on a scale of 1 to 10. I feel like the more interesting part of this is, and that it was one of my questions about this project specifically.
It's an interesting rating here. Yeah, it's different.
Since we are doing a series of 12, where we will each pick 6 movies. Not all of them are going to be, well, this is one of my favorites of all time, and I needed to show you it. They're not all going to be like that. The first 2 happen to be like that. And there's a really good chance a lot of them are kind of like that, but for me anyway, Sumais. How do we want to handle Sumais? is there a limit on it? Since we are doing a series of 12, is it like you get 2? Like, we each get 2 over the next, I mean, odds are you present the movie, you feel more passionately about it, you're gonna want to sumai that movie. I doubt it would be so shitty of me to come on here and be like, nah, this movie which you love, I'm gonna sumai it into this, you know, like, so, do you get
like one
sumai for
like
one of your
gotta
movies?
Be good. Yeah, I feel like 1. The second you get to 2, it's like, well, why not 3 or what, you know, but it's got to be good.
For the
there's only 2 sumais total, and it's 1 between.
That's fair.
Each of
That's
us,
fair.
You know,
for the uninitiated, sumais was a tactic that me and Joe thought up while we were doing our Game of Thrones rewatch. Winter is Blooming. There's a character who commits sumai, which essentially means he cut his hand and he got absolute say. There was nobody who could doubt him. Nobody could say no. What he said went because he committed sumai. And whenever one of us commits sumai, we get absolute say on the rating. And that's kind of how it goes. So Joe has just agreed to doing 1 sumai total. And I have a feeling he'll have to use it this week. I like this movie. It's not it's not a 10. It's
no, and I understand that.
Yeah.
No, and I do understand. I know that it's a 10 for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew this, and I knew before you even watched it that it's not even probably a 9. It's not even probably like it's not.
We're closer. We're closer to an 8.
And yeah, so I was actually curious on like what our average would be. Like what if I just average out my 10 with whatever you
that
gave?
Was my other question. Was for this project, would we like to each come into it with our own ratings for the movie and then take the average of that rating? And that's regardless of sumai, regardless of that, we can remove that entirely. It's just whatever we feel is like,
because my thought process was if I'm okay with that average, then cool.
If not, you can sumai it. Yeah.
Then I'll sumai.
That's fair. Like, that's actually, that's the tactic. That's how we'll do it. Because I like this movie. I wasn't moved. I didn't tear up. I didn't cry. I had a good time. It was fun. It wasn't long in the tooth or anything. It came, it went, it was cool. Ultimately, enjoyment-wise, it came out to about a 7.75 for me. Okay. I like the movie. It's enjoyable. It's fun. But whenever we get to like 8 is when I start to feel like I love a movie. And there's a lot to like here. So I had to go just short of 8.
That's okay. So a little average of that would be 17.5 divided by 2. I'm trying to do Excel math right now. But I guess would we just do the average of each of the enjoyment and critical to get the overall, or?
Yeah, I'm like that would leave it at an 88, 8.75 if we
8.75.
Yeah. I'm like, and if that's suitable for you, that's suitable for me.
So,
I don't mind.
And so the sumai. Right. My score is just whatever. So the sumai would have to be on an overall, but would I can't sumai the whole overall score, right?
No.
I can only
you can sumai one of the enjoyment or the critical.
Well, I guess it doesn't really make sense it's going to be used probably enjoyment. I don't think we'll disagree critically that hard that a sumai
not
is
intensely.
Needed,
No.
But an 8.75, am I okay with that? Am I okay with letting
the better
Tron
question,
Legacy...
is there a movie you think you'll feel more passionately that it deserves a higher rating? And I mean, doubt it.
There's no way. I mean, I already knew before you even said sumai. I was almost about to go get a knife so that I could just do it before you even said anything. This was gonna be the movie I was gonna do it on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want I will commit sumai. I will slice the hand. I'm metaphorically bleeding on the microphone. The pact,
the pact is bound.
made. And
this becomes
and Tron
a 10.
Legacy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
enjoyment wise.
I can-
you're right. There's no other movie on this list that I will become this passionate over. So
I can dig it.
over with. It's done.
All right.
And
All right.
No more sumais.
Now, critical, this is the interesting one because I'm curious how you feel coming at it. I mean, it's a solid movie, man. It's far from bad. I don't think it's great. I think it's a good movie. It's a solid, good movie.
I think it's right there. Like, right, just when it becomes good, which is 7. And, like...
I could give it a little bump there. 7.25 would be cool for me.
Do give it a boost. I like this is, like, even though the de-aging wasn't quite there, the whole everything else was there.
Yeah. Like, the visual effects in this are, they're kind of bonkers. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's clean, and I do eventually need to own this one. Yeah, I do need to get this on physical. It's definitely in that tier.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely, I guess, above a 7. 8 something is I don't like. Sam and Cora would have to have like performances that were actually good.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like to make this movie really strong. Jeff Bridges really just carries.
Yeah.
The whole
and I
time.
think that there's something to this movie, and it's not. I mean, it's not an intense fault. It's just something that the movie was like. It was going for this epic sci-fi thing, and I think it gets swept up in it, and it loses sight of its characters at times, and they kind of suffer for it. But I mean, it was always exciting to look at, which is a testament to the movie, and I think that makes it for me probably about a 7.5 or a 7.75.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll give it anything it can. But critically, I should become a little more, take myself out of the equation, here. But I guess like to compare, have we given another 7.75 recently? Die Hard is a 7.75. The Raid is a 7.
I would say it fits perfectly in that gap. I would say a 7.5 is probably where I end up landing after that.
Personal History of David Copperfield, that's an 8. I feel better. Like that is that tier. Yes. 6.5 Last Night in Soho were
north
the
of
ending,
that.
yeah.
North of that.
It really, it did suck. The Menu was 6.75.
North of that.
I feel
it's better than that. Yeah,
Okay.
7.25 or 7.5 is where I end up landing. I'm cool with either of those.
7.5. I feel like kind of it's good, and the visuals give it that real good kind of.
Yeah, I mean the visual effects are nuts. I think that is far and away the highlight of this film.
So in 83, 833. So I guess with the Sumai, if it were to stay, what was it, 8.75 the average? It would have been a 7.92.
Hey,
so an 8 out
crazy.
of 10, which sounds a lot more.
Hey,
right?
8.3 out of 10 versus 7.9. Hey, that ain't shit. You know, like that's
I guess
it's worth that bump. That's kind of what you get what you pay for with the Sumai. You know, like I'm down for that. And an 83 doesn't sound too bad to me. I think that's a fair assessment here, and I appreciate it. I like that. I like that resolution coming to a 83%. Okay, then that concludes this episode of Cinema Surprise on Tron Legacy, and with that, it is time I announce the Cinema Surprise for next week. I'm gonna play the same cards as Joe a bit. It's a movie he loved this week. I'd never seen it. It was perfect. It was a fun way to kick it off. And now I'm going to introduce him to an absolute classic. A certifiable banger. Few movies ever have been better than it. I love it. Joe hasn't seen it. And I'm so very excited to discuss next week Casablanca. I cannot wait. I'm so very excited. It's been a long time coming for me to show Joe this movie, and Joe, I'm excited for you to watch it. I cannot wait for you to take in the greatness that is Casablanca. So I hope you're ready. Next week on Cinema Surprise, we have Casablanca. And over on our flagship show, the Penny Bloom Podcast, you can be expecting the preview episode for House of the Dragon Season 2. We covered Season 1 when it came out back in 2022 in our show Fire and Bloom. You can find it on the Penny Bloom Podcast, and we'll be doing it again for Season 2. And I am so very excited. So, Season 2 of House of the Dragon preview on Monday on our flagship show, the Penny Bloom Podcast, and you can come back here next week, next Friday, on Cinema Surprise for Casablanca. Thank you so very much. With that, let's do an album of the week. How are you feeling? Where are you throwing? Where are you throwing down
go
here?
First?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, I already gave this album in one of the albums of the week, and it would have felt right to save it for here. But I am going... This is the album that I discovered through the movie, visually. I'm talking about the Tron soundtrack for people that can't see what I'm pointing to, sorry. But I had to stick with Daft Punk here. I had to give them the homage this week. It just felt right.
Yeah.
And a Daft Punk album that I can just confidently recommend, like that I just actually love, I wouldn't say as much as the Tron soundtrack, but just actually good music. And it's Random Access Memories by them. In 2013 is when it dropped. And I mean, it is just another one that I throw on the entire album kind of at once, and I just let it rip. But there are songs that I pull out. That's for sure. Instant Crush. It's with Julian Casablancas, which is really, really funny
look at
that happened. And I think he's just the vocals in there, and it's so good. But Lose Yourself to Dance with Pharrell Williams is I feel like the one that most people would know. But then also Get Lucky.
I feel like that's the one most people would know.
We're
up all night to get lucky. We're up all night to get lucky.
You need to go to track 4 Within. It's just like it's a song that like doesn't really feel like Daft Punk. I don't know. And it's a piano. It's like very slow. And it feels very personal. I don't know. They go everywhere. There's even the song before is kind of like I don't know. It's called Giorgio by Moroder or something. And a dude just talks and tells his like story for a little bit, a different artist, and then apparently I think it's something made by him right then and there. It's just a lot of random access memories is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's just all over the place. And I really like it. A lot of different styles kind of melded into one. I
love that.
Yeah.
I kind of tried to stick on theme as well. Sort of, the sci-fi vibes, but not, I didn't want to go on the nose. I didn't want to go too on the nose. I knew you were probably going with the Daft Punk one, so I didn't want to double up there. So to stay on theme, but also to celebrate, this is our first movie coverage of Pride Month, I went with like one of my favorite queer artists of all time. I've got her on display here, Janelle Monáe. You would recognize her from Knives Out, as she is the lead actress in that. The album I chose is Dirty Computer. Which, seems like it fits the vibe.
Go.
Absolutely incredible. She is such a talented artist. I adore her music. She is my queer queen. Django Jane is one of the hardest fucking rap songs you'll ever hear in your life. I mean, the lead song, Dirty Computer, fucking beautiful. Like it is and that's mostly how I feel about this album, is that it is lovely. It is beautiful. Pink featuring Grimes, one way or the other about Grimes. Not a huge fan, but I am a fan of Janelle Monáe, and she makes that song really fucking good.
Got Pharrell too.
Got a Pharrell crossover.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Pink, Dirty Computer. I mean, Crazy Classic Life is super good. We got a Zoe Kravitz feature on here, which feels, a little bit of more of that actress and artist crossover.
Okay.
Americans, just top to bottom. I ran this through like twice just earlier today, and I absolutely adore her. She's a Kansas City queen. She's from Kansas City, which is also a huge plus in the corner of Janelle Monáe for us. Like you know Janelle Monáe too, because of Knives Out. Like you'll recognize that She was not an actress initially. She was a music artist, and she happened to start acting and stuff. This album that I have on display is The Age of Pleasure, which is really fucking good.
Hidden Figures. I was thinking. I'm like, there's something that is like that I know her from. That's something else. Okay, wow. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
very
she's
talented.
got an incredible catalog. Like if you can dig through Janelle Monáe a little bit, she shan't disappoint. I mean, The Electric Lady, The Arch-Android, The Age of Pleasure, which came out last year, was my personal album of the year. And I was, it is what it is. Taylor Swift's going to win stuff, it is what it is. But I like Janelle Monáe a lot. So, and
very subjective music.
Yeah, who's to say, but, all right. So, Random Access Memories by Daft Punk and Dirty Computer by Janelle Monáe. Those are the albums of the week. And like I said, we'll be back next week with a little bit of Casablanca. We're going to throw it back big time. I believe that movie is 1942 versus 2010. So, 68 years prior.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, got a lot to look forward to. So, can't wait for you to hear it. We'll have a couple more albums of the week for you, and Joe will have a new movie that he will pick, and we'll be off. So, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I fight for the user.